Welcome back to Reimagine 2021. I'm Yonah Hochhauser, and today I'm glad to be joined by James Wo, founder of the Digital Finance Group. James, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, and hello everyone, this is James.
Hey everyone, I'm famous. Look at me, I'm on TV. Well, James, I'm glad that you got to join me today. And for those who don't know who you are, some of our viewers, you want to give some background, kind of who you are and how you got into blockchain?
Sure. My name is James Wo. I'm the founder of Digital Finance Group. So we are more like a diversified blockchain and crypto business. Started around 2015, and we basically doing investment. We have are investing into different kind of active from 2015, including the company like Circle, LedgerX, Brave, and a few others. And we have our token fund investing in layer one protocols, including Polkadot, Solana, Avalanche, and others. We also invest into the different layer two project on top of the Polkadot and Ethereum ecosystem. Basically, we are a investment group, focus on both equity and the token investment.
Mm-hmm. And as an investment group, is it kind of like a family run type of internal fundraising, or are you guys like an institutional group that's raising big money from around the world?
Yeah, it's more like a family business because we already have a lot of capital we want to allocate. So far we haven't raised any outside capital yet.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Now, it's interesting speaking to someone on the investment side, because when I'm usually speaking to people either on the project side, the people who are getting that capital to actually do work, or I'm speaking just to traders, speculative traders who are trading the numbers. So it's really cool to speak to someone who's actually doing the financing behind the scenes. It's interesting. My wife, she works for a VC, a traditional VC. And I always wondered, when you're part of your group is actually a crypto VC that you guys are running, what do you find are the unique challenges or the differences when you're actually analyzing projects for a crypto VC compared to a traditional VC?
Yeah, it's basically, I think there are a lot of in common when you evaluating a project. You have to see whether the funding team is really a good team, and there are also whether the technology is strong or not. But there are still, as you say, there are still a lot of difference between the crypto project and also the traditional project. So I think one major difference is the logic is different. If you're evaluating the traditional kind of company, or then you have to judge from whether this company will make money in the future, because eventually you want the company to make profit, then give you return for the equity side. But for the token, it's a little bit different. Well, what I see is like whether we judge the project more from whether you can build a great ecosystem or you can attract really a lot of people to use it, than just like how much kind of money you can make on this platform. So a little bit from the basically a logic to evaluating a token project, and for the traditional kind of activities, it's a little bit different, especially when it's like a close related to layer one protocol. I think it's totally different. Depends on like Bitcoin. It totally depends how many people trust it and how many people use it. So I think the basically a logic is the main difference here.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because in the traditional VC world, a lot of times they're judging a project not just by the idea, but also they look heavily at the team behind it. And in the crypto space, in the blockchain space, it's relatively common to have a semi-anonymous or a completely anonymous team behind the project. So would you even consider projects or looking at projects that have a completely anonymous team in terms of investing in them, like an equity deal? Like, how do you assess it? Are you assessing it just on the technology itself, or would you actually consider a completely anonymous project as well?
Yeah, I think in the crypto world, decentralization is probably the key here. Just like we don't know yet who is Satoshi, right? So Bitcoin is probably the best.
Yeah, but we're all investing in an anonymous project here for owning Bitcoin. We don't know Satoshi. Yeah.
That's the great example. So what I view this is because in a crypto world, everything is open source. Basically, everything is open source. So you can basically judge a project by just throughout just the technology, right? Then just how And also based on that, technology is pretty clear and it's all open source, and the rule is pretty clear, and we are going to kind of operating this throughout a certain mechanism and decided by the community. So basically you have certainty here. So the power of the founder, the power of the founding team is not that big as the traditional company. So that's why Satoshi can create Bitcoin and everyone trusts it. So I guess for us, definitely we are pretty open and flexible about whether there's a KOL for the project or there's not. It's totally kind of a community operating project. We are totally flexible about both.
And then, when it comes to, actually funding deals, usually in the traditional world, it's usually an equity deal. You get a certain amount of equity in the company. But when we're talking about decentralized projects, fair raising projects, or fair mining projects, where let's say, either there is no pre-mine or only a certain amount of coins are allocated to the actual project. So how do you guys even structure the deals? Do you guys get equity in the actual, team behind the project, or is it you just get a certain amount of tokens for that protocol, and that is considered your equity?
Yeah, so we actually are pretty flexible on both, but on my point of view, it's probably better just to issue a token. Basically, what we see a lot of companies, they say, okay, we want to you guys get active first, then we will equal amount of the token. But eventually the value comes from actually the token, right? So the token represents the value of the project and what is the size of the ecosystem. So eventually the value from the investor get is really from the token. So we will recommend the project is actually to issue a token, then giving the investor the equity, then giving the token accordingly. So that's our initial kind of feedback and suggestion to the project. But if the funders insist that you can do you guys can do equity first, then we will accept it as long as it's a good project.
Right, very cool. Now, besides being the founder of the Digital Finance Group, you're also the founder and chairman of Ethereum Classic Labs. Really incredible. Your resume is quite broad and really quite impressive. And for those who don't know, that's the lab that's pretty much the leading supporter of Ethereum Classic. So my question is this: why did you choose Ethereum Classic over in the mainstream Ethereum Core that's been around? Was it for ideological reasons? Was it because of you were against the idea that that we should reverse the DAO hack, or why did you choose ETH Classic?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, thank you. And I think the history is like the founder of DCG and Grayscale, Barry, actually introduced Ethereum Classic to basically we do a lot of co-investment before together, so we know each other pretty well. So he recommended the project to me, and I think it's a good project. A lot of people trust it and people work on it. But I feel that we have to it's a good project, but lack of a support from really from the fund side and from the technology side. So we decided to actually start ETC Labs back to 3 years ago, and also ETC Core back to 2 years ago. We think we just get in just because I think this is something we should support, and we should kind of we think it's a good project. We need to support it. So that's basically the simple reason why we got into that ecosystem and support it. It's not really about we are against Ethereum or whatever. It's about like we don't accept the return the fund to the the kind of the vision of ETC is so-called vision of ETC that we need to keep the fund of the to the DAO hacker. But it's not about that. We just think it's a project that it was supporting that's the simple reason why we getting into the ETC ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, like you especially with the DFG group, you're not only supporting ETC, but you guys are invested in a number of even Ethereum competitors such as Solana, you mentioned, Polkadot, and all these others. As with the explosion of DeFi, with the this latest bull run, we're seeing once again that Ethereum is just hitting a scaling limit. It can't scale, and so everyone's looking for a new solution, whether that be ETH 2.0, which is probably not, it's probably not going to see it anytime soon. Another layer 2, one solution, or even a layer 2 solution. So you kind of, I've seen you've hedged your bets there. You know, you've also invested in layer 1s, also in layer 2s. In your view, what do you think is going to be winning out in terms of scaling and smart contracts and DeFi? Will it be a layer 1 like Solana, or will it be a side chain layer 2 solution?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually probably the most important question for Ethereum to go in the future. The timetable for Ether 2.0 is still kind of uncertain. So I mean, the thought, you know, the best we can see is somewhere like and 18 months later, then, you know, we will see ETH 2.0 fully kind of come out. Then it gives actually a window for different so-called competitors or other protocols to attract different kind of application to build on top of it and to solve the problem. So that's their, you know, that's their background here. What we view this is still, I think, based on the, you know, because we also operate in ETC, we know deeply that, you know, to build a successful and strong and well-defined ecosystem is not a, you know, one-time kind of thing. Then you have that protocol, even if on layer 1 side that works, then means all the project want to build on top of it. That's not a story. So it's really take a long time for the you know, the layer 1 protocol to be mature and the ecosystem to be mature. So far we still think Ethereum will still take the leadership at you know, all the you know, kind of you know, all the protocols, and we think probably the biggest chance is to ETH 2.0 solve the scalability problem. So that's basically my prediction. For the other project, we think is pretty, you know, promising, or at least can build another you know, ecosystem which is well organized and big enough, is Polkadot. We think because of Parity have strong technology and strong background about building basically stuff that's you can trust that, and they have very, very good kind of you know, I think last year and this year is a very actually good start year for Polkadot ecosystem. We can see a lot of decent projects to build on top of that protocol. So at least I think Polkadot is something which could probably, you know, become a, you know, a Ethereum competitor in the future. But so far, I still think Ethereum probably will still take a leadership at all the protocols. That's my idea. I don't think other protocols, even it's our portfolio company, but I still don't think other protocols can solve the scalability issues ahead of ETH 2.0.
Mm-hmm. And you know, and Polkadot does have a lot going for it. You know, essentially being you know, started up by Ethereum co-founder Gavin Wood. You know, he did a lot of the work under the hood of the original Ethereum, so you know he's in good hands. And also, it kind of, it fixes the ETH 2.0 problem. Essentially, why haven't we seen ETH 2.0 yet? They've been saying it's going to happen for years. It's because there was so much assets and value locked on Ethereum that they didn't want to rush to ETH 2.0. They didn't want to lose any of the assets. They didn't want to break anything. So they were kind of they had to be very careful because ETH 1.0 was so successful.
Right.
And now with Polkadot, what you have Gavin Wood, who's essentially built a lot of Ethereum. And it started from scratch. So he's able to go straight to sharding. He's able to go straight to scalability, right, without having to worry about losing all the assets or breaking. So, I mean, I also think that Polkadot, you know, will do very well. You know, but I have one issue against Polkadot, and maybe you could help me out. Maybe you could speak to them. Okay. They got Polkadot, Polkaswap, Polkastarter. Are they just going to name everything Polka and then add a thing to it? Is that going to be the naming scheme for everything in the Polkadot universe?
Yeah, like Polkastarter is one of our portfolio company. I think, you know, not just because of the name we invest into everything in the good project. So I think, you know, we will see a lot of interesting name came out, and there I think that's but still, you know, you have a good name doesn't necessarily make sure you're successful, right? You see Uniswap and Link, that's I don't know, but sounds like it's not like close to Ethereum, but they are so successful. So yeah, that's
look at Pickle Finance and Sushi Swap. I mean, obviously the name doesn't matter here in this industry.
Right.
Yeah. That's very good. Yeah, so the Polkadot does seem very exciting, and that's very cool that you guys are behind them as well. So then when you're investing in another layer one like Solana, when you see your portfolio, is every company you're investing in, you think, all right, this is the one, and they're all going to go together, or is it a measure of just hedging your bets? If Polka doesn't work out, then all right, Solana will work. Is it kind of how much of your investments is belief in the project, and how much of the investment is hedging your bet in case another investment doesn't work out?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good question. I think it's actually, we're thinking about this question a lot, but what we viewed is like, we have all the protocols, maybe Ethereum is the best, have the stronger ecosystem, Polkadot have a chance, but we still want to invest in other layer one protocol because we think, it's not like Ethereum is probably the best right now. It's, you are probably the best. It doesn't necessarily mean you are the best in every sector. In one specific sector, it could be, other protocol which is better than Ethereum. So for example, Ethereum is good, but if you're speaking of privacy, you need to have Zcash to manage right now. If you speak of the, the frequency and the speed, then Solana is probably better. So on one certain sector, it could be other, protocol which is better than Ethereum. But as long as we think the protocol, the layer one protocol have its own vision and have its own strong, the best part of it, which other protocols don't have, then we may have we need to take a look and see whether we want to make that investment. If you have created a project that which is, basically copy 90% of its copy other project, then we will just skip it. It totally depends on whether the vision of that protocol have one or two detailed sector which makes sense and which realize the things that other protocol don't have. If that's the case, I think we think that the protocol has the value. Then I think it's better. It's good for us to just put money into that protocol and see whether that will bring returns to us.
Mm-hmm. Right now, it's incredible because you have time to both, run this group and invest in so many projects, but you're also the chairman of the Matrix Exchange, which is a licensed exchange in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, which I thought was interesting because we seemingly don't hear a lot about crypto coming from the Arabic countries in the Middle East. Is crypto popular there? In the United Arab, in the UAE, in Saudi Arabia? Why don't we hear more about crypto projects coming from places like there?
Yeah, sure. I think first of all, it's like UAE and overall the Middle East don't have a lot of people. It's not like US you have like how much, like 50 million people hold crypto.
Yeah,
It's not going to happen. You don't have that kind of people, right? So you don't have that voice there. But what I know for certain is crypto is pretty much popular in that jurisdiction, because first of all the policy is super positive. In UAE and in Middle East, I think overall they are open-minded. The country is pretty positive and open-minded. They want to, previously they rely on too much on oil. So on one hand, they want to hedge their risk by using new technology. So blockchain and crypto is definitely them. So they are pretty open-minded to this new technology. And as you can see, we get a license this last April, and which is pretty fast. And other jurisdictions maybe are pretty slow about that. So that's one thing. Policy is pretty positive. The second, what I will say, it's like since you don't have a lot of people, but on the other side you have a lot of capital there. So which means you have one single person, which average speaking will have much more capital than one person in other jurisdictions. So that is actually a good thing. And on the for example OTC market and other localized market in that jurisdiction, actually a lot of people get interested in crypto and trade crypto. So that's not like your a story that everybody knows, but that's the reality there. It's really a lot of demand there to really hold crypto, and people are interested in it, and people really have the capital to support it. So I think that is the reason why we have, we go to Europe, we go to other countries in Asia, for example, Singapore and others, and we go to US as well. We think Middle East is definitely one region that we don't want to miss, and this is actually, I think at least probably one of the best region and in Asia, to crypto we want to choose.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, listen, that, like you mentioned, it is a great, there's so much capital there, and UAE famously is trying to diversify its investments, like you said, because all their money, it has historically been in oil. They are trying to invest in new technologies and really shift their reliance off crypto. So really, heads up, once again, heads up play by James Well for recognizing a good space to invest in and build. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start following whatever you do, and I'm just gonna do the same thing because you seem to have a winning record here. So maybe I'll pick your brain on the latest bull run. Since pretty much the end of last year, crypto has been on a major bull run. There's been a slight pullback recently, but overall, Bitcoin at all-time highs, Ethereum approaching all-time highs. Overall, the market is up, and some people are attributing this to PayPal allowing their customers to gain exposure to Bitcoin, not hold Bitcoin, but exposure to Bitcoin. Some are pointing to publicly traded companies like Square and MicroStrategy publicly investing some of their savings into Bitcoin. What do you think it is now that happened that's causing this bull run? Is it just a timing thing? Is it effects of COVID and interest rates are low across the world, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think the reason behind it is I think kind of there are a lot of reasons behind it. The main reason is actually three things. The first is the mainstream capital is starting to kind of care about crypto and start to make investment. But I don't think that's the major part of this bull run, because if you calculate the grayscale how much Bitcoin they hold, it's not a crazy amount. It's like a 3% of it or something like that, and then you have to calculate in the circulation amount of a GBTC on the traditional market. It's could be basically the Bitcoin you subscribed 6 months ago. Then it's less than 2%. So basically, for sure, traditional capital we're investing to VCs and indirectly kind of moving to the industry and buying Bitcoin and throughout that way. But that's not a big amount of it. Just you can easily calculate it. The institutional investor maybe hold whatever less than 5% of the Bitcoin. So I think that's one good thing is in 2017 I don't think the mainstream capital even care about this or even getting started to do this. And for this bull run, I think the mainstream capital to start doing this. And I think there will be the much bigger bull run in the future, because when really the mainstream capital put their money into it, it will be a much bigger bull run in the future. So that's the first reason. The second, I would say the infrastructure has become more solid and more diversified. Previously in 2017, we only have Ethereum, which can do the ICO on the platform. But right now, you can see all kind of protocols came out, including as we mentioned before, Polkadot, Solana, Filecoins, others. In all the sector, you have different kind of layer one protocol, and become pretty solid and really have a lot of strengths in that sector. But in 2017, just imagine what you have. It's all about 4 coins Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, which are similar to Bitcoin, right? You don't have a lot of innovation there. And we have also infrastructure become pretty diversified in this year. So that's the second reason I would say. The third is really about the application, and ICO is actually I don't think that's a good application, but on the policy side, it's not going to be positive anyway. So, and this year we can see not only DeFi but NFTs and decentralized storage. We can see all kind of sector become pretty popular, and there are a lot of progress on all kind of sector. So that's on the application side, also more diversified. And also, for example, we can see Chainlink Uniswap. That's somehow the infrastructure of the applications, and also being so solid. So on the application side, that is also pretty mature than 2017. So far we think what drives the bull run is both from the starting of the mainstream capital and also the technology, either both in infrastructure and application side. So that is a good thing. And my prediction, the borrowing will definitely continue this year and probably next year, because we will see more mainstream capital to come into place. We will see much stronger and solid technology, and we will see much more people to hold crypto. So I guess it's still, I think it's not an early stage of this borrowing, but it's still there's a long path to go for the market to become strong and pretty good in the next I think maybe 6 to 18 months.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, that's that would make me and a lot of people a lot of money. So that'd be really fun and awesome. And no, because and one of the things you mentioned was DeFi, which really did explode. I mean, it existed, but it really exploded starting this past summer. With the yield farming and Uniswap, and a lot of great use cases. But I wonder, in your mind as an investor, if you're looking at a traditional, infrastructure type of project like a layer 1 blockchain or something. So you invest in it. If it works, great, it works, and now you have value. The token goes up, and now you have value. But we're talking about DeFi, where in the case of Uniswap, SushiSwap, or many other, Pickle and all these other things, where in DeFi it's so easy just to copy and paste. If there's a successful app or DApp, you just someone could come copy and paste it and add one more feature, and now that's a better application. That's a better protocol. So as an investor, is it scary? Are you worried about investing in kind of DApps because you know that even if it's successful, it's so easy for someone to just copy it and vampire capital away from that protocol?
Yeah, from our understanding, this year I think that the logic is actually a little bit different than 2017. In 2017, on layer 1 protocol, you can probably copy that kind of code and try to fork it and really do good things on it. And the market actually will recognize you if you make really a tiny kind of like progress. But I think this year, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, I'll say it for you, Tron. There we go.
Yeah, that's right. That's probably the name everyone wants to say it. And for this year, the market actually is pretty. I think it's pretty fair. Once the application want to copy other application, you could be pretty popular in like a week or something like that. But in the long run, if you don't make fundamental progress on that sector, the value of your project will go down a lot. Which means we can see Chainlink have such a high market cap, and Uniswap as well. But that from the application side, you shouldn't be valued at that kind of like a high, kind of price, right? But what I understand is from other side is like, you are probably the top tier, really the top one in this detail sector, and you are the first one. No one, you are not copying other people's model. You are kind of doing innovation. So for this stuff from this year, the market really gave a high valuation to the people who really innovating, which is super, super positive and super, super important here. So I think this is much healthier than 2017. Once we hold this kind of logic, the market can be, the bull market can last longer because it's much fair capital market.
And then, when you also do, token investments as well. So when you're looking for which tokens to invest in, there's a whole new sector of tokens, governance tokens, now that are popular. This came essentially from trying to attract the LPs to protocols, and they're giving out, token rewards in the forms of governance tokens. So, on one hand, as part of your portfolio, how much, if any, are you guys yield farming? Is yield farming an actual legitimate way of getting a return with investors' money? And two, how valuable are those governance tokens that you are being rewarded with? Is the value in them the tradable value, or is the value in them actually the ability to vote on the actual protocol?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's, just try to compare this with the equity side. If you hold the shares, then for a small investor in the equity side, you probably theoretically you have the the voting rights, but actually you don't, right? But in a
Yeah.
crypto space, that the token you hold actually have voting rights, which is a good thing, which will give you the value. But with that, it's not enough. Basically, I can also create a project with a voting right. But what is the real value of the project, right? And also, speaking of staking, that's also something, you know, the project, every project can do. You can do staking, you can do kind of voting. That's more like a standard, you know, kind of ways of, you know, the evaluating the token. But every project can do it. So that is, in long run, that is saying this is really value. But still, what is the real value of your token other than, you know, it's which is different than other project. For example, what we see, like taking Polkadot for example, it's about like a pair chain auction. You need to, you know, once there are like 100 like pair chain, you need to stake your dot on the pair chain, then to win the auction, and then you can use that slot. That is the real use case of the project. So Polkadot already have staking, and have, you know, pair chain auction. And the pair chain auction is probably the real value for that protocol. So for one single project, like you're farming, once we judge it, it's not about, you know, the governance, it's not about staking, it's about really any functionality you can create for the token, which people will believe in it and use it. What is that? If you can find out one solution or one way for that part of it, then we will definitely invest. We think it's a good project, and really the token has value. Otherwise, it's only about, you know, anyone can do. Then I don't know where's the real value there.
Right. Well, so looking at the DeFi space right now, what is your favorite project that you're seeing?
My you know, my favorite project, I think, you know, I'm a little bit, you know, kind of traditional and value investment. From that side, I think Polkadot is probably the best. I think the project lasts for a long time and it's pretty mature and well organized, and the team is pretty strong, the community is good, and compared to other new projects have a lot of problems here and there, it's really a project I think which is probably undervalued. So that is, and you take a look at TVL, you know, Polkadot is like $4 billion. It's way bigger than other projects, and this is actually something I think which is probably undervalued. And I think probably, at least for now, I think Polkadot is probably one of my favorite projects in the DeFi space.
And it's interesting because you mentioned community there. So let's say you're evaluating two projects. One has slightly better technology, but a worse community, or even no community. And there's another project very similar, not as good technology, but they have a huge community that's very active and very vocal and really committed. Which do you value more?
This question is, I think, a simple question for me. We will definitely choose the one with good technology and the one with no community even. Because once you find one people good at building community and all marketing stuff, then the problem will be solved. But if you take the other side around, then you have to have someone who's building a technology, building a project. Basically, I don't think that after. It's like it's very difficult to. It's basically if you have good technology, you can start a new project. I don't think that the one with, you know, bad technology and a lot of community members that one have value. I don't think I don't really invest in like any kind of this project.
BitConnect. And now for looking and I'll say all of them. And so, you know, when we're looking at the DeFi space or even the crypto space overall, you know, it is a high risk environment. You know, there's high rewards, there's high APYs, but because the risk is high, and there's a lot of unique risks in this space, not just risks of, hey, will this project ever gain value, or, you know, will it ever have a good use case, but there's underlying basic risks like a poorly written smart contract, or, you know, an exploit because of a bad oracle. So there's very unique risks here. And what we've seen pop up recently is insurance, DeFi insurance, smart contract insurance, all type of insurances, hack insurance. So one, are any insurance products out there right now strong enough that you'd feel secure in actually using them to insure one of your investments or one of your holdings? So we'll start off with that. Is there any crypto insurance product out there right now that you actually think, hey, as long as I pay the premiums, I feel secure that this is covered?
Yeah, I think Nexus Mutual is probably the one, which is probably the best one here, because we other insurance, we also invest into that sector, but I still think other insurance, projects are at probably early stage. So far, I think Nexus Mutual is probably the most mature one that you can trust.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and especially right now, it first was the smart contracts being hacked or exploited, and then now we're seeing recently the insurance themselves are getting hacked with cover as well. So I mean, once the insurance is getting hacked, who's insuring the insurance companies?
Yeah, there's like one protocol we tried to. They will do this thing kind of like they will provide insurance for Nexus Mutual.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's it's a little crazy, and I mean that's what makes it. I'm sure it's very exciting and fun because you kind of do have your hands in so many things here in this very new and exciting industry. So looking overall at the whole blockchain space, you're invested in many things. You have your hands in many things. What is the project or what is the thing you're most excited and most proud about?
Oh, I think so far, I think Polkadot is probably the things I will be kind of most excited about. I think first of all, the token is pretty undervalued. I think it's a top 3 level of the project, Bitcoin, Ether, and Polkadot, and we really believe in the vision of Web 3.0, and I think Polkadot is the one who really had the chance to realize that vision. And this one is really the if you let me to pick the one that I'm most excited about, I will choose Polkadot.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Well, James, very excited. That's all the questions I have. Now this is your time to shill. You could shill your company, you could shill your favorite song, you could shill a project, whatever you want. Shill away.
Oh, thank you. And hello everyone. This is James Wolf from Digital Finance Group. If you are operating a project, you want to talk to us and see whether you can get our investment, please feel free to contact us. If you have any questions and comments about industry you want to discuss with me, please find me as well. You can find me on Twitter or Telegram. My account name is Real James Wolf, and you can also try to find the Twitter account of or linking on Digital Finance Group, and you can search just Digital Finance Group. You can find it and reach out to them, and we will see. And yeah, please feel free to contact me, and happy to discuss any kind of question related to crypto with all you guys. It's pretty exciting, and yeah. And thank you again for the conference, and thank you for hosting the interview, and really thank you everyone.
Yeah, well, James, thank you for taking the time. For any of you people out there who want to get a job in the space, I highly recommend contacting James as well. It seems like he got his head on straight, knows what's up, getting involved. So James, thank you so much for taking the time and explaining to us a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes at Digital Finance Group. And for all of our viewers here at Reimagine 2021, I'm Yonah Hochhauser. Thanks for watching.